Hello guys, welcome to another trade recap. Whatever we discuss is just for educational purpose, nothing is financial advice. All right guys, just keeping on with the small recaps, trying to keep it 8 to 10 minutes. We want to focus on our main setups, the setups I guided in the community. So today was all about the bounce, right? So today was an epic bounce that happened in the market today. If you were ready with your shopping list, you can see the shopping list that I shared. Let me see if I can show you that the shopping list that I shared in our community as well a few days back, yesterday. All of them just ripped, right? AI ripped. AI just went crazy, and it's not easy once this kind of we had a little bit exposure. We had a big exposure on. We have a big exposure on BE. That was a pretty good move for us. We've been adding yesterday. It's 30% already for us. We didn't really have a lot of exposure. I personally had a little bit of, I talked about MXL, AEHR. I had some shares, I sold today, just small sizes, nothing crazy. So it was nothing, earth shattering that we were able to capitalize on like crazy today on the bounce. And it happens. Everybody, mostly, not everyone is able to capitalize in these bounces because this came all of a sudden. There was a lot of reasons. You might have heard a lot about the young hedge fund guy who got liquidated. I'm not going to talk about that, but those kind of catalysts definitely help with these explosive bounces. And it's easy to feel FOMO because you see that everybody's in this trade, that trade. It's fine. Most of the traders, most of the consistent patient investors are not going crazy with, they wouldn't be long crazy sizes. Even if they were long, they would be long small sizes. Like we were in BE, but we only had a 60% position. That was one of the position that we had. I personally had MXAL, AHR. I did tweet out those my shopping list yesterday as well. So they worked out, right? They worked out because we were extended. We were expecting some kind of the bounce, and it came, but in no way we were expecting that there's a bottom, and we don't know yet if there's a bottom. The bottoms are usually formed when you see higher lows. Let's say tomorrow we pull back and create a higher low. The previous low that we created, and we keep that, right? We keep that, and we hold that lows as the semiconductor pulls back, and this level becomes a level of risk for the bottoming process to begin. Of course, we need the VIX to stay under 18, drop and stay under 18. So then we can identify that there's a bottoming process. All of the stocks which bounce like crazy today, if we look at AXTI, which had earnings, Marvell, they're still pretty low from their highs, right? They're still pretty low. Their opportunity is still there, but we cannot chase these big candles. Now you can day trade them. We day traded them, which I'm going to cover. We can trade the earning plays, how to trade the gap ups with the Ripster clouds, which I'm going to show you today, trying to keep the video short. But nobody has an idea if the bottom is in, right? And bottom can be very well in. I want to see the AI earnings being bought up. Something I saw today, that AXTI, the earnings got bought up and held. That's a bullish signal that AI might be back. So we'll be watching. We'll be looking for good risk levels to build positions. For example, Dell was pulling back after hours. So you just have to have your focus list ready, your shopping list ready. That's what I provide to my community. I tweet it to my followers. I mentioned this in our Tanner research as well. So we just need to be ready. We have to have our homework done. If a bottom is in or not, doesn't really matter. But when the trend is there, you see that a lot of the 1 hour charts are starting to hold the trend on a lot of 1 hour. A lot of stocks moved over the 1 hour clouds. So the 1 hour charts have started to hold some kind of bullishness. That tells me that 1 hour trend is bullish, and I want to see the 1 hour pull back, for example, and hold the 1 hour clouds. So that tells me that we're going to hold. You want to see everything holding over Ripster 1 hour clouds. You're going to use 1 hour 50 ms to see that initial bounce. You want to see the clear of the daily Ripster clouds, the daily MTF clouds. For example, this is CBRS. You want to see those key EMAs being reclaimed. That tells you that the trend, the bullish trend, is coming back. Then you can look at your risk level to buy your positions. If you have your you don't have to buy the bottom. You just have to buy if there's a real trend, Not all of the stocks will go to their crazy all-time highs in few weeks like March or April, right? It's going to be slow move. Some of them will still come back, fade, will be news-based environment. You just have to pick few of your favorite names and trade them. There's a lot of opportunities there. Robotics, space is still weak, space is not bouncing. So we'll know soon enough. So that's all my thoughts on the bottoming process or not. I, as always, will be keep guiding you on the on X and in the community what I think about the bottoming process is there or not. Have some exposure, the stocks you like. We have a big exposure on BE. We liked it. I personally was trading MXL. I talked about this ticker, other, good earnings. Look for the stocks which already have good earnings and pulled back. AEHR was a great example today. So that also, was really. So I got to pause a little there. So the bottoming process, the things you got to watch that I just mentioned, the reclaim of key clouds, key EMAs on 1 hour clouds, key MTF clouds, 20, 21, 50, 55 daily EMAs. You have to watch if the AI earnings are get bought up, which AXTI I just mentioned. The example was definitely good response. But you have to have your focus list ready. You have to have, for example, NBIS added yesterday 147, went to 191, not a big position, kind of worked out. You have to have your focus list ready, have some exposure, do not chase, let the trade come to you. You don't need to be in everything. You don't need to be in every AI name. Just look for the stocks, let's say, which had good earnings, right? AEHR was good for us. I was also talking about MXL, which we took a loss on the swing earlier, but I had it yesterday. My personal trade did pretty good today on MXL. You need to have your focus list ready. I also shared the MXL chart. Not a lot of names. I also shared this chart in our Tenet research. What we are looking for. I talked about CBRS, MXL. You see that that's the level I gave of 57, bounced nicely there. So have your focus list ready. The bottoms don't really form straight line up. The healthy bottoming process is up, pullback, consolidation, reclaim of key clouds, healthy breadth. You see more AI names holding green for the day. They are, not selling off crazy. You don't see the crazy volatility, VIX falling down on 18. Everything will give us a good bottoming process. Now, do we go crazy back to those all-time highs? I don't know. We might not have the same thing as March or April. If the war ends and by the midterms, things cool down, all the earnings are crazy. The fundamentals are good on AI. Fundamentals are good, no doubt. But we haven't seen the fundamentals reflecting. Remember, a lot of these things are forward-looking. They are overvalued as per se because they're forward-looking. A lot of them don't really have a profits yet, right? A lot of these data center names, super overvalued. They make 100 million, but the market cap is 10 billion, right? So things like that. So they sell off crazy when the rates are high or the environment is bad. But when the hype sentiment comes back, you will have enough time to get in, build a position. So follow this. Hopefully this helps you guys understanding the bottoming process. Let's do a quick recap how we traded to this bounce, and that should help you see what were our best trades today. All right, so I'm gonna just quickly. I'm gonna go pretty fast today. I'm running late here, very late. So let's start with Microsoft trade. What we were doing here. So let's look at Microsoft. What was our Microsoft trade today? Microsoft. Let's take a look here. So Microsoft. Let's take a look here. Microsoft pre-market planning. Top earning play. I'm not even gonna talk about Meta. I didn't touch Meta. It was chop all day, right? So Microsoft bullish buys to long. Break out our pre-market high, no go under 418. Pay special attention to the levels I'm mentioning, 425, 430. You could trade the options long, you could trade the shares or leverage ETFs, whatever you like. So as soon as the market opened, I told the traders to long the Microsoft. Remember, I already gave the plan in the pre-market. I told do not chase. You can watch the pullbacks on the candle. On the smaller time frame, you can get on the pullbacks here. You can look at the 3-minute time frame if you want. You could see there was a pullback right here, 441. So I told the traders to long on the fight on the Microsoft right at the open, and from that long guidance, Microsoft, the first target I gave as 450. We hit our 450 target. We sold some there. I moved the stops to 440. When Microsoft pulled right there, I told the traders to put your stops under 444. This was a midday close. This was your second opportunity to get long right here at 444, and from there on we pulled it all the way to 458. The target I gave was 456. Our final stops were 44, 55, 50. Once we broke this 512 end of the day, we closed out. So even if it was almost over $15 per share profit from the morning longs, you just have to have risk. You're buying at 439. Your risk is like $5. You're risking $5, making $15. That's the way to do it. Let's go to the next one. All right, so now look at SNDK. The same thing, right? The big news. There was a big news on, of course, there was a big news on our Samsung, so there was no hesitation on the on the memory names. We were super duper bullish. Again, the pre-market planning was same. You long versus 1 hour Ripster MTF cloud. Simple. So I told the traders 1 hour MTF long, 1100 psychological level. That's what you're gonna focus on. You know, the options went crazy. $1,000 into 6 grand. Ripster cloud ride all day. You can see my live stamped guidance 936, and I already gave the pre-market planning to the traders. They were already long, but I'm also there guiding the traders live to do that and hold their hand to make sure my new traders, they have, because a day like today you need to capitalize, make a most of it. So SNDK went nicely there. All right, so what was the next one? So next one was SKHY. SKHY was also the long, you know, again, SKHY was same thing. It was from that, MTF clouds, but it was a little higher. So I focused more on Micron and SNDK. They gave me more risk to reward and had an insane day there on both those names. You know, but what I did mention the traders middle of the day, I mentioned this girl, this their opportunity to get in. I told them this 512 trend line, right? I gave them that. Same thing right here, 512, you get in here. This was done now live in the community, not a hand side. And same thing I told them on SNDK. All of them formed the same kind of setup middle of the day for the long. So that was our memory long. That was a beautiful, beautiful trade here. All right, so let's look at BE quickly. So I tweeted about it. We added the BE swing position yesterday. We actually scaled in, even though we day traded it short, but our long term we were scaling in BE. I can show you that what I told the traders. So we added BE at the open, initially added 168. You can see that right here. Then I told the traders we are scaling in. Complete guidance, I bought more at 159.50. My average was 163.75, and we held that swing overnight, and just we open it on nice bullish swing. We do it in our Tenet research investing platform. All research is there. Amazing educational and swing trading investing platform that I'm very proud of. So I told the traders that long we should see the 200 target. You see my morning guidance, long 200 target. We hit the 200. Next target I gave was 215. We hit the 215 target as well. Insane trade. The day traders exited under 205. We're still holding our swing position, will be up 40% by the morning, but you can see my live guidance on there on the BE as well. And not only that, on the BE everything was pre-planned in the pre-market, long over 1 hour MTF, no go under 172. So that was a pretty very proud of this trade that we did. Another successful trade for our swing trading. We had some losses, but now our winners are big. Remember, you hold your winners because winners are big, losers are small. That's how our portfolios are. Short-term portfolios up 168, long-term portfolio 30% up in just 3 months. So you have to have losers. It's fine. We had losers. We have 66% win rate, but who cares? Our account is up 168%. That's how we do it live all there. So there was many other AI bounces as well. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to show you some of my timestamp guidance. CBRS, I told that CBRS is also a good long versus that 180. You can trade that. I told the traders that AAOI is also a good long. You can see the timestamps, longs as well, CRDO as well. It was just a focus list. This was my focus list. That's why I was not focusing on the earning plays, because I already had my list. Look at this, MTF longs on AOI. That's just beautiful, right? Everything was 1 hour MTF long. 1 hour MTF long. Even the CRDO was 1 hour MTF long. So this was just insane moves there that we had there. All right, CBRS as well on MTF long, NBIS as well, MTF to the MTF magnet, complete MTF magnet long. This is the power of the Ripster 1 hour MTF clouds. No hindsight, I show you right there, and that's how we plan in the pre-market as well. That's the plan I gave to the traders in the pre-market as well. On all my AI names, the plan is already given. Marvel, Dell, you could take any name there. This already the plan is provided for the traders, but you have to focus on your focus list. And this was amazing day today. You don't have to trade everything. Whatever you trade, just focus on that. Have a plan in the pre-market. Focus on the Ripster cloud setup. Repeatable setups, root-based setups, and you will find consistency. Let's see if the bottom is in. I'll see you tomorrow.